Welcome back to my reading challenges. My name's Morgan, this is my channel Pisces Paperbacks, and today we're kicking off another weekend reading challenge vlog. Today I've decided that I want to try and read as many NetGalley arcs as I can. That was a computer notification, let me mute that. If you don't know, NetGalley is this really cool website where people who read a lot of books, and most of these people I feel like have book blogs or YouTube channels or some sort of like they really keep up with their Goodreads reviews, stuff like that. You can request arcs, so advanced reader copies of books that are going to be coming out soon, and then if you're approved, you can download them and then read them ahead of time. You have to review them if you read them, but that's a small price to pay, I feel like, for getting access to all these cool books. So I currently have 6 NetGalley arcs on my dashboard that I have not read that I'm going to try and read. Ideally 3 I'd like to get done this weekend. There's one of them I'm definitely not going to read this weekend, but I'd like to read at least 3, hopefully 4. Okay, let me just tell you about the books. The first book I have is The Redpoint Crux by Morgan Shamy. This is, I believe, about a girl who was on the USA climbing team. It doesn't say what kind of climbing, so I'm assuming rock climbing, and she gets kicked off the team and kind of decides to join a ballet company, and then people start to die. It looks to be kind of a Phantom at the Opera thing inspired, but I can't really tell. This is one that I am going to try and read this weekend. Next I have The Glamourist by Luanne G. Smith. This looks like it is about a young girl in turn-of-the-century Paris who does not know that she has magical abilities, and also about a witch who is known for her wines. I don't really understand what this book is about. I also just figured out that it's a sequel. I think it's a standalone sequel, so I should be able to read it without reading the first one, but I have to do a little bit more research about that. Next I have Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory, which is the same author as Wilder Girls, which came out last year. I actually bought a copy of Wilder Girls recently, so I do plan on reading Wilder Girls and then Burn Our Bodies Down, so I'm not going to be reading this one this weekend. Next I have The Girl of Hawthorn and Glass by Adan Jerreat-Poole. This one sounds really cool because it is about a teenage girl who isn't a girl. She is a made thing created by witches to be an assassin of humans in the human world, which sounds like sick as fuck, and I definitely want to read this one this weekend if I can. Next is Savage Legion by Matt Wallace. This is about a woman who joins the ranks of the Savages, which is basically in this fantasy kingdom. The poorest, the most vulnerable are recruited by the kingdom, by the government, to basically be their soldiers, their red shirts. They just send them out to die, and she is trying to get revenge on somebody that she had a relationship with in the past, and so she decides to join the Savages in order to get close to him because he's kind of gotten involved in that world. I'm also really excited for this one. It's a fantasy, so I think it might be kind of long, so I'm gonna try and get to this one, but I don't really know if I'm going to. And then I have The Ruin of Evangeline Jones by Julia Bennet. This is a historical romance between a man who just inherited a dukedom and I guess is devoted to exposing the frauds of the War of London, and also a woman who is a medium and a spiritualist, and she's kind of worked her way up to a position in society that has some respect, and they end up having some chemistry. So I'm really excited for that one too. That's the one I most recently got approved for. Of these books, the 3 that I definitely want to get to are The Redpoint Crux, The Girl of Hawthorn and Glass, and The Ruin of Evangeline Jones. I originally wanted to get to The Glamourist, but now I'm like kind of thinking that I want to read The Vine Witch first, which is like the first book in the series that is in, I guess. 2 of the books that I'm talking about, so The Redpoint Crux and The Girl of Hawthorn and Glass, are both going to be released in June of this year, and The Ruin of Evangeline Jones is going to be published in April of this year. Actually, April 27th, so I do want to read it sooner than later. That might be the second one I get to, but I really want to read The Redpoint Crux first. Now that I've done this extremely long intro clip, I am going to start to read and update you guys later. I know I just saw you a minute ago, but I started Redpoint Crux, and the main character's nickname is Red, but her name is Megan. So you're telling me a Morgan wrote a book with the main character Megan? I don't know how I feel about that. Okay. Another thing, I know I keep talking, but the description for this book says it's for fans of the Night Circus and the Raven Boys. Now, I've never read the Raven Boys, but I've read the Night Circus, I'm trying to figure out, like, what about the night circus is in any way similar to this book? Because this book is about a ballet company, but also the writing is not in any way similar. The world building isn't similar. The characters are in no way similar. So I'm like, I have no idea. I hate to say it, but I have never read anything more underdeveloped in my entire life. It's like 12:30. I have like 70 pages left, so I'm gonna finish it tomorrow. Ugh, stop adjusting. I'm trying to lie here. Spoiler, not loving it. I hate to say it, but this book isn't good. Also good morning. It's Saturday. I'm about 40 pages from the end, probably around 30 pages from the end, and this book just isn't well done. The pacing, it's really rushed. The writing is okay. The dialogue is cheesy. The characters are one-dimensional. The relationships in this book have like no depth whatsoever. So there's like a main character, Red, I've talked about her. Her twin, like, she like feels nothing for him. And then after something happens to him, we're supposed to be convinced that she's like devastated. She hasn't mentioned him since then. It's been like half the book. And like, there's so much going on, like so much going on. There's the rock climbing plot line. There's the theater that is failing. There's the serial killer. There's a second killer. There's the mom who's in a mental institution. There's the ballerinas that are, for some reason, all like fading away, like at the same time. Not like literally fading into invisibility, but like they're all like zombies at the same time. There's the ballet instructor's daughter, Jane, who Liam, the owner of the theater's son, who's now the owner of the theater, who walks in and is like, she's gonna play the lead in the ballet even though she's never danced before. So her whole plot line. There's the guy who lives under the theater and like what's going on with him and what promise did he make to Red's dad to watch over her, and like they also kind of have like a romance, and then also like his uncle who like poked out his eye, and then there's like some sort of experiments going on. And if this sounds like a lot, it's because it is, and also because they dropped like half of these. It's just so much going on. None of it goes together. For the first 40 pages of the book, I honestly just felt like it was nonsensical. It hasn't gotten better, and I feel so bad. I don't want to be the person who like writes the review that's like, by the way, this book isn't good, but it's not. And I'm trying to like, this is a debut author, I believe, and I don't want to discourage anyone, you know what I mean? I'm not like gonna tag her in anything. Also, she was apparently a ballerina for several years and like a ballet instructor for several years, which is like totally cool. Like, it's always good to write about what you're passionate about. But then why do the ballet scenes even feel unrealistic? There's really no reason for this rock climbing plot line to be in this book at all. This book would have been perfectly fine if she just had to come back to the theater after, I don't know, dropping out of college or something. And then like the whole book is just about the theater and the ballet and the serial killer and the guy who lives under the theater and all of that stuff. Like, it still would have made no sense, but at least it would have made a little bit more sense, you know what I mean? I hate not liking NetGalley arcs. So I just wanted to update you. I'm probably going to rate this book 1.5 stars. I will let you know when I get to the end. Yeah, it's a 1.5. I just finished it. The end doesn't make it any better. Okay, so I took a break to watch some YouTube videos and eat some lunch, and now I'm going to start in on The Ruin of Evangeline Jones by Julia Bennet. I am actually pretty excited to read this one because I was looking at the author's Goodreads, and I think this might be like her second romance novel, and the first one also looks really interesting, so I'm probably gonna read that one after I read this. I don't think they're in a series, so it shouldn't matter. And another thing is that there's only one review for this book on Goodreads, and it is a 5-star review from Elizabeth Hoyt. And Elizabeth Hoyt wrote one of my all-time favorite historical romances. So, like, first of all, the fact that she thinks this book is 5 stars, I'm hoping I'll like it. Second of all, if I review this, I'm gonna get to be like the second review on a book that an author of one of my favorite romances likes, and that's so cool. It's so cool. So I'm looking forward to it. I've actually just finished the first chapter, and the book starts off with Alex Stanton, the Duke, attending a seance with Evangeline Jones. She's called Miss Jones in the first chapter. And he's a skeptic. He's dedicated to exposing frauds. It's like a pretty visceral hatred, so I'm assuming there's something that like happened in his past that kind of like soured him to the spiritual, and like something happens at the seance and he's very shaken, and that's where we are right now. That's one chapter in, so looking up. Hi, this is not a reading update. I actually just got Barnes & Noble delivery. Actually, one second. I forgot to mention this, but yesterday I got book mail from a really cool indie bookstore in Houston called the Blue Willow Bookshop. I got The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. That's my dog drinking water for the noise. T.J. Klune wrote Wolfsong. I've not read any of his other books, but I loved that one enough that I was like, yeah, I want to get this. As far as I know, this book is about a man who works in the department in charge of magical youth, and he gets called by extremely upper management to check in on basically an orphanage or group home on this very remote island. I believe one of the kids who lives at the group home is the Antichrist, and I also believe that he and the man who runs the orphanage fall in love, so super excited about that. But today, I got my Barnes & Noble books. Oh, this was sitting out in the rain because there's 2 front doors to my apartment, so I didn't check at the other front door. So this has been sitting outside. I hope they bubble wrapped it and it didn't ruin my books. Oh my god, they did not bubble wrap the books. Oh my god. Oh, they're okay. Okay. They're here! Okay, so I have The Return by Rachel Harrison and Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. This I really wanted to read because Reagan from Peruse Project read this and really liked it, and when it didn't initially appeal to me, but once I like saw her review, I was like, that looks good, that looks kind of interesting. This is, I believe, a Victorian detective story about a woman in Victorian England, and someone goes missing, so she's hired to search for this young girl. This is also a world where people have like not like supernatural characteristics or like, you know, something like that. I'm not super sure. I think the cover is gorgeous. These are like little snails. I don't know if you can tell. You're also propped up on my oven. And then over here I have The Return by Rachel Harrison. This, for some reason, the dust jacket for this is like really like big. It like doesn't fit the book. Anyway, this I saw and was like, oh my god, that sounds so cool. This is a thriller about a girl who goes missing, and I guess 4 years later 2 years later, she returns, and it's about her, like, close friends. They decide to kind of bond by going on vacation all together. There's, like, a group of 4 of them, and I guess something about the friend is different once she comes back, and they're like, is it her? Did something come in her place? I am super excited to read this. That sounds so cool. I love reading thrillers where the plot... What is that noise? Never mind. I love reading thrillers where the plot is like straight up a horror movie premise. I don't know. Something about that just is very appealing to me, and I think this is really going to give me that. It's also way shorter than I was expecting. How long is this? It's literally not even 300 pages. It's like 290 something pages, but I'm super excited. These are all the book purchases I've made lately. I also pre-ordered the prequel to The Hunger Games. But that obviously can't get delivered to my house yet because it hasn't come out yet. But for now, I have my books. We're having a really nice reading time. I'm 110 pages in, and oh, she's so cute. So is Marcy. She's hiding a little. I'm 110 pages in. It's beautifully written. I'm not really connecting that much with the characters. I really do like it though, but I'm halfway through. They've only kissed like twice, maybe. I'm waiting for that first spicy scene, you know what I mean? So I'll let you know when that happens. I have to say I'm a little disappointed by the explanation about Alex the Duke's, his kind of obsession with exposing fraudulent mediums, spiritualists. I thought it would have been like the result of some wrong, like did somebody scam him when he was younger and like trying to connect with a loved one or something like that. But no, he just like became interested in it, and then it became a hobby to expose frauds. I'm like, that's kind of less interesting. I wanted it to be a little more emotional. But, you know, it's okay. I do like that something happened with a side character kind of like exposing a secondary scheme. And the Evangeline, she, instead of doing like what usually happens, which is like, she's like, oh my gosh, this is going to hurt the other person. I have to hide it from them. They can never know that, you know, I betrayed them or something like that. She literally just goes straight to him and like tells him like the entire truth, and it does damage their relationship a little bit, but they're working on it. And I'm like, oh, we love like mature communication. Like, I'm here for it. Okay, update. It is now 9:30 p.m. I just finished The Ruin of Evangeline Jones. I really liked it. It was 4 stars for me. I did get my fill of sex scenes, and they were good, so that complaint has been retracted. It was just so well written, and something that really, I don't even know if this is like pointing high enough, something that really stood out to me was the way that the writing really communicated the unspoken care that these characters had for each other, which was like really nice. I also don't know if I've said this before, but there was this one scene, actually I think I did, where there's a scene where they communicated openly. That was nice. And I was also really taken by surprise about the ending. Like, that was like like in a good way. I actually really liked it. It was something that I hadn't remembered being brought up earlier in the book, but it was like a good like conclusion, I felt like, and it definitely makes me want to read the author's other book. I'm glad I found another author that I really like historical fiction wise. I kind of haven't been reading that much of that particular genre lately, and I do really need to catch up with my Tessa Dare reading and everything, but I'm really glad I read that one. It's nice to have a winner after having a bust. So I am honestly not feeling like reading that much tonight, so I probably won't. I'm honestly in the mood to watch a Barbie movie, so I think I'm gonna do that. And then tomorrow I'm going to start. The next book I want to read is The Girl of Hawthorn and Glass, so I'm either gonna start that tonight or tomorrow morning. I'd like to finish that as early as possible tomorrow so that I can then start in on Savage Legion. I don't know how fast I'm going to finish it. I honestly don't know how long it is. Let me check that actually. Okay, it looks like The Girl of Hawthorn and Glass is about 320 something pages. So it's longer than this one. This one honestly took me longer to read it because I was taking a lot of breaks. It's just kind of been hard for me to focus lately, so that kind of sucks. But I'm going to try and read The Girl of Hawthorn and Glass as quickly as possible. And yeah, it just honestly depends on how early I can freaking make myself wake up tomorrow. Good morning. It is Sunday, probably around 11 by now. I already had breakfast and I've started The Girl of Hawthorn and Glass. I have one of those laptops that folds in half, so don't be alarmed. I am really liking it. I'm already 70 pages in. It is about Eli, and Eli was created by witches in the City of Eyes, which is, I guess, a city that hangs above the human world. I have a couple questions about the world, but I'll get to that in a second. And she was created to go into the human world and kill ghosts. It starts off with an assassination going really badly, and then kind of like goes from there. And she's now kind of on the run in the human world. Not really. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but I really, really like it. This book is by a non-binary author, and there is a non-binary side character that we just got introduced to named Tav. They're really cool. And then I also believe this book is sapphic because I think Eli has a crush on her friend Kite. I really like this kind of magic where there are kind of rules, but it's mostly like woven from nature and power, and just kind of like this raw thing that kind of can just barely be held together by a human body or something like that. It just seems really, really cool to me. The questions I have is because when I'm reading this, it doesn't really sound like our human world. Like Eli refers to as the city of ghosts, and then the witch's city is the city of eyes. But like there's Advil and like coffee, and Tav like rides a motorcycle. So I'm trying to figure out if it's like, if Eli just doesn't know the name of like this human city that she kind of goes to kill people in, or if it's like straight up just kind of almost like our human world, but like not, and it's like a different world. That's really what I'm confused on right now, but it's not like impacting my enjoyment. I'm really, really liking this. I'm 140 something pages in. I'm really so into this, like found family trope, queer characters, like going on a mission together. I'm so into this. I'm so into this. I do wish that more of this adventure was kind of taking place in the City of Eyes, and there was a little bit more world building about like the cities themselves. But I just like this book. I'm just enjoying it so much. I love the characters. I love their relationships. I love Eli, the main character, and her motivations and how she wants to belong somewhere. And I was looking on Goodreads. This book has so many bad reviews. Literally, it has a 2.7 average rating, which is shocking to me because this book is on par with, if not better than, several other popular YA fantasy books that have been published in the past couple of years. I have no idea why people don't like this. I like to read the reviews of books that I'm reading, just to like gauge like if my opinion is kind of lining up with what other people are seeing and stuff like that. And I don't get it. I really, really like this book, and now that I know people are rating it badly, I'm absolutely gonna go even harder for it. Like, unless this book gets messed up in like the last like 20%, which I highly doubt it will, I have to stand. Like, this book is good. I don't know what people are talking about. I'm a little offended on behalf of the book because this book is great and I love it very much. I have no idea. This is one of the moments where it's like, well, don't read people's bad reviews about books that you like. But like, this is a debut that's not yet released. It's like, I want it to do well because I like it, and it's like, there's so many. I don't get it at all. I finished it. It was so good. I'm gonna end up giving it 4 stars. I think now that I can see the overall story, I do think there are some faults with the world building, and there was just like some like little details left things to be desired for me. But overall, I so thoroughly enjoyed this book. I highly recommend it if you're looking for books with queer characters, found families, a heist adventure, if you're looking for complicated family dynamics, and like, oh, there's so much here. It was so good and I liked it so much. Oh my god. Okay, that was a win. It is later in the day than I expected to finish reading. I did break for another family Zoom meeting, and so it's about 5:30. I'm going to take a break and watch some YouTube, maybe watch a movie, and then I will probably start in on Savage Legion before I go to sleep and update you then. Reading dinner. It's like 6:30 almost. It's like 6:20. I have downloaded the e-arc of Savage Legion. The e-arc is 402 pages, but on Goodreads it says that the book is 512 pages. So I don't know where that discrepancy comes from. I am gonna use the Goodreads page count. I have like a spreadsheet. I like to keep track of all that stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely not gonna finish this one tonight, but I'm going to start reading it probably right after dinner, and I'll update you about how it goes. I was looking up the author of Savage Legion. His name's Matt Wallace. This is his first high fantasy, I believe, like epic fantasy, and I looked him up. Gotta be honest, the author on his website kind of sounds like real pretentious, like really pretentious. Like his bio, it starts with this long thing about how it's bullshit that authors all write their bios in third person. And then it's like all this essay about himself. And then at the end, he's like, I live and work in Los Angeles. I write television, try to write movies, and while I'm doing that, I release my own fiction to a select but always fervent audience. I do appreciate that, like, he appreciates his audience. But it's a little pretentious, in my opinion. Welcome to the end of the vlog where I wore the same shirt for 3 days and basically sat in the same 2 spots in all of my clips. Oh my gosh, I also just knocked down my pile of books on the floor. It's time for me to wrap up everything I read. So this weekend I finished 3 arcs and started a 4th. So the first one I read was the Redpoint Crux by Shamy. Unfortunately, I did not particularly like this. It's kind of like a Phantom of the Opera ballet retelling with other things going on too. I wasn't a fan. I gave it 1.5 stars. I want to move on from it. And then right after that I read The Ruin of Evangeline Jones. This was by Julia Bennet. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a really like high quality, well done romance. It's probably not going to end up being like one of my all-time favorites because I didn't feel like that emotional connection to it, but just because I didn't feel that didn't mean I like didn't thoroughly enjoy it. So it still deserves the 4 stars. Beautifully written, love the characters, love the chemistry between the characters, and it was a very interesting premise. I do wish there had been more of a reason for the Duke to hate mediums and frauds, because I feel like the reason was weak, but whatever. And then after that, I read The Girl of Hawthorn and Glass by Adan Jerreat-Poole. What a winner. 4.5 stars. I said earlier that I gave it 4 stars. I'm going to bump it up to 4.5. I just liked it so much. And honestly, the writing and the description of emotion and nature was so raw. It kind of reminded me of Anna Marie McLemore, if that's something that you're interested in. I just liked it. I don't know why people didn't like it, but I'm just going to focus on the fact that it was good, and I'm going to buy it once it's released, and I'm going to push it onto everybody now that I know about it. And then last night I got about 50 pages into Savage Legion. I am actually enjoying it. I think the last time I updated, I had maybe just started, or maybe it was a couple chapters in, and I wasn't too sure, but I am liking it. There was one, it's following 3 different characters as far as I can tell. Lexi, Evie, and Dayawan. I don't really know how to say her name. It's Dyeawan. Anyway, there's only been 1 chapter with Lexi so far, and hers was the one where it kind of tries to set up the government structure, and that's where like the world building and like the how does this society function kind of explanation started. I did not understand it. I had to reread her chapter 3 times. Like I would like read forward and then be like, let me go back and look at that, and then I'd read even further forward and be like, let me read that again. And I think on the 3rd time I finally started kind of getting how this world works. So basically, as far as I understand, families can start gens or franchises, and they're basically like a workers guild where they serve a function, and I believe it was to try and stop inherited generational wealth so that certain families would inherit wealth, and so instead it's all about function instead of family. And I don't know if that really makes sense, but that's as far as I understand it. I'm 50 pages in. My plan is to read like 50-60 pages every day and try to finish it up this week. And yeah, honestly, I felt like I did a really good job reading this weekend. I feel like I was so productive. I really liked a lot of what I read, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Please let me know if any of these books sound interesting to you, if you want to hear a full review about any of them, and I will see you guys next time. I have really big plans for next weekend, so I'm really excited, and this has just been a fun thing. I'm so glad I thought of it. Yes, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!